Good morning, everybody. My name is Туреханова Жанат. I am from Kızılarda Nazarbayev Intellectual School. Welcome to my English lesson. Long-term plan unit of my today's lesson is 7.1, A. Hobbies and Leisure, Languages Content. The theme of my lesson is discussion about hobbies and leisure activities, presenting a table of information and statistics about young people in Kazakhstan. Learning objectives are: Speaking 1. Provide basic information about themselves and others at discourse level on a range of general topics. Speaking 2. Ask simple questions to get information about a growing range of general topics. Listening 2. Understand more complex supported questions which ask for personal information. Use of English 2. Use quantifiers including more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much, on a growing range of familiar general and curricular topics. Lesson objectives. All learners will be able to give basic information about themselves and others with a lot of support. Ask simple and more complex supported questions to get information with a lot of support. Use quantifiers including more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much, with a lot of support. Most learners will be able to give basic information about themselves and others with some support. Ask simple and more complex supported questions to get information with some support. Use quantifiers including more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much, with some support. Some learners will be able to give basic information about themselves and others with a little support. Ask simple and more complex supported questions to get information with a little support. Use quantifiers including more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much, with a little support. Targeted words and expressions of today's lesson are quantifiers: more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much. Success criteria. Learners have met Speaking 1 if they can speak intelligibly about their own hobbies and interests. Learners have met Speaking 2 if they can ask about their partner's hobbies in pair discussion. Learners have met Listening 2 respond with little or no hesitation to tag or open questions in the extension activity. Learners have met Use of English 2 if they can use quantifiers including more, little, few, less, fewer, not as many, not as much, while presenting the statistics of the survey. Background knowledge of mathematics in calculating the results of the survey will be helpful in this lesson. Teaching methods and the approaches which I have used at my lesson are matching techniques, interviews, think, pair, share. In order to brainstorm hobbies and leisure activities in Kazakhstan, let's match the pictures with their appropriate words: bowling, chess, camping, cinema, card games, computer games. Cooking, eating out, crosswords, gardening, darts, the internet. Knitting, play billiards, painting, paddle games, playing guitar, and reading. Sailing, traveling, sunbathing, and watching TV. As I have mentioned above, the topic of our lesson is presenting a table of information and statistics. For this, we are going to take a survey. Let's review the grammar materials, which would be helpful in taking a survey. The first grammar material is tag questions. A tag question is a special construction in English. It is a statement followed by a mini question. We use tag questions to ask for confirmation. If the first part is in the positive form, then the second part of the question must be in the negative form. For example, your brother's hobby is swimming, isn't it? The answer is, yes it is, or no it isn't. If the first part is in the negative statement, then the second part must be in the positive form. For example, your hobby isn't drawing, is it? The answer is, yes it is, or no it isn't. The next grammar material is graded quantifiers. We use them to compare the quantity of one thing with the quantity of another thing. As you see from the table, they form their comparative and superlative grades at the degrees of adjectives with the plural countable nouns. For example, many in the comparative grade, more in the superlative grade, most. Quantifier few in the comparative grade is fewer, in the superlative grade fewest, with uncountable nouns. Much in the comparative grade is more, in the superlative grade most. Quantifier little in the comparative grade less, in the superlative grade least. Now it's time to take a survey. Before carrying out a survey, I want to introduce you with the rules of taking a survey. Get in a team of 4 and 6. 15 minutes are in a disposal. Write with a pencil. Interview each other in a group, then swap the role. Give a full answer to the question, but write the exact word. While reporting the results, use quantifiers, more, most, few, fewer, and verbs like, love, dislike, hate, etc. Interview each member of the group, and while interviewing, don't interfere to each other. One of you will present the results of your survey. Now I'm going to ask you some questions in order to check your understanding of the rules. The first question is, how much time do you need? The answer will be 15 minutes. The next question is, whom do you interview? Each other in a group. How will you answer the questions? They have to give a full answer. Next comes, what should you write? The answer is the exact word. The next question is, what kind of quantifiers should you use while reporting? The answers will be more, most, few, fewer. The next comes, what kind of verbs should you use while reporting? The answers, like, love, dislike, and hate. The last question, who will present the results? One of the members of the group. Now let's shift to our main activity, that is activity 1, taking a survey. As I prepared 2 different survey worksheets according to the level of students, let's divide the class into 2 groups. A group of 4 less able students and a group of 6 more able students. Firstly, in pairs, students must interview 3 classmates, asking simple and attack questions about their free time activities or hobbies, and must complete the survey table, which will go towards the statistical report. Here I use differentiation by support. For example, using modal language as necessary, and the differentiation by content and task for less able learners. And here in this slide, you'll see that taking a survey worksheet for less able students. You may ask such kind of questions as, what is your hobby? What is your brother's hobby? Or what is your sister's hobby? What is your friend's hobby? Your brother's hobby is swimming, isn't it? Or your sister's hobby is swimming, isn't it? And here you will see the possible answers. And reporting results are given as a model. Then they should write up their results. As for more able students, they also in pairs must ask more complex questions, for example, open questions, to elicit more information. Here I use sentence level support and differentiation by content and a task for more able students. Finally, learners collate their statistics to find out what most popular hobbies are in the group. Here in this slide, you will see that taking a survey worksheet for more able students. Here, learners must change partners and interview each other, asking for example, such kind of questions. What do you like doing in your free time? Why do you like it? How often do you play football? How long have you been playing football? And here you see the possible answers and model of reporting results. Then they should write up their own results. Now let's watch the fragment of the video, how my learners took a survey.
Do you like it? Because I love and repeat it. Interesting. Why do you like reading? Do you play volleyball?
I play computer games. And how often do you play?
What is your brother's sister's hobby?
My brother's hobby to marry.
Sister's hobby?
My sister's hobby swimming.
Is
Swimming.
learners completed the table, and according to the reporting results model, they wrote their results and presented their statistics. And in this slide, you see the results of the student survey. Now let's watch the fragment of the video, how my learners reported their survey to the group.
Of the learners' hobbies are playing football. Most learners in this group like reading. A few learners in this group like listening to music. Hardly any of the people in this group like basketball and volleyball. Almost no one in this group like to take care of the chicken.
Thank you.
More learners in this group like to ride bicycles. Few of these students like reading, going to cinema, and playing computer games. More students hate knitting, cooking, and gardening, and more of girls hate playing football.
Is that all?
Yes.
Thank you. The next activity is about the ways people spend their leisure time. Learners are going to listen to details of how people in Japan like to spend their free time. I have divided this activity into 3 stages: pre, while, post. In pre-listening activity, students answer the questions what kind of free time activities they think are popular in Japan, and the teacher writes their ideas on the board. In while listening stage, I am going to give students a copy of photocopiable sheet. They will listen to the tape and must write each free time activity they hear in the correct place on the table. They must review the 10 activities for referring to the illustrations. If necessary, teacher can play the recording again. Here in this slide, you see the picture of top 10 free time activities in Japan, and you must review the 10 activities by referring to the illustrations. Now let's listen.
Eye on the world.
And welcome once again to People Today. Now it's time for our Eye on the World section with Mark Perkins. Mark?
Thanks, Anna. Yes, in tonight's Eye on the World, we go to Japan. Now, everyone knows people in Japan work long, hard hours. But just what do people do in their free time? Well, we did a survey of leisure activities in Japan, and here is the top 10. In first place is eating out. As you can see, eating out is by far the most popular free time activity. In second place comes, wait for it, driving. Yes, it appears Japanese people like nothing more than driving around cities and into the countryside in their free time. It may seem strange to you and me, but there you are. Next, in third place is travel within Japan. To all those lovely temples and gardens, I guess. Fourth is, guess what, Anna?
I have no idea.
Karaoke, of course. Lots of people enjoy singing along with their favorite songs. Then, in fifth place, we have watching DVDs and videos, followed by listening to music. But just look what we have here in seventh place. Trips to museums and zoos. Then way down in eighth place comes going to bars, and after that, gardening. I guess not so many people in Japan have gardens. And finally, in 10th place, we have playing the lottery. And who wouldn't want to win lots of money? Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Mark. Now let's go see what's
So students have to complete this chart. In the next slide, we'll do post listening activity, and here we'll check the answers. Answer key is given here. The first is eating out. The second is driving. The third is travel within Japan. The fourth is karaoke. The fifth is watching DVDs or videos. The sixth is listening to music. And the seventh is trips to museums and zoos. The eighth is going to bars. The ninth is gardening. And the 10th is playing the lottery. So, at the beginning of this activity, the teacher wrote the hobbies which the students have guessed. Now, check the learner's idea about popular free time activities in Japan which they wrote on the board before listening. In that way, we'll check whether they have guessed or not. The next activity is group discussion. Students are given questions for discussion. After that, I gave them questions and they should answer. The questions are: which hobbies are the most popular in Kazakhstan? Which hobbies are popular with children? Which hobbies are popular with adults? The next questions are: which hobbies are the least popular with girls in your country? Which hobbies are the least popular with boys in your country? And the last question: why do people have hobbies? So students have to discuss it in the group, and they should give their answers, and they have to come to conclusion. Now let's watch the fragment of the video, how they discuss in a group.
I think fishing and running it's popular in Kazakhstan. I think bicycle and hiking and hiking.
I think riding bicycle.
I think
playing computer games.
I think swimming, playing
Playing basketball, volleyball, sport games, yes.
Maybe hiking, climbing,
Hiking or hunting? Hiking.
I think
Fishing, yes.
traveling.
In the activity, learners must make a list of their own top 10 free time activities. Here is given activity 5, and our students must make up a list of top 10 free time activities in Kazakhstan. And here is given the model they should use while speaking. In the first place is playing football. In the second place is reading books. In the third place is drawing. In this way, they may continue all the top 10 free time activities. And you will watch its results from this video. That's done. That's done?
Yes.
And you should use this model while speaking. Now, do it in the group, please, quicker. I'll give you only 2 minutes.
Music and hiking, swimming. Boys like to fishing and hunting. Girls
Fishing.
likes fishing. Girls like shopping, cooking, traveling.
In the first place is listening to music and eating out in Kazakhstan. In the second place is reading books and swimming. In the third place is climbing and shopping and going to cinema.
In the ninth place is knitting, and in the tenth place is swimming.
Swimming. Thank you very much. So in this way, my students made a list of top 10 free time activities in Kazakhstan, and using this model, they spoke at the lesson. So the homework. Students must prepare a topic, my hobby. They should write at least 100 words. And in order to reflect the lesson, students should answer these questions. The questions are: what has been learned? Here, students must write in the answer sheet what they have learned at the lesson. Then, what remained unclear? There, they should write what they don't understand. Then, the next comes is what is necessary to work on, and they also write their answers. And here are given 3 different smiles, and the students must choose one of those smiles according to their achievements. And in that way, we can guess whether they have achieved the success criteria or not. Here you see different kinds of assessment sheets. So the first assessment sheet is for group assessment. As you see, they worked in the group and they presented a table of information and statistics about young people in Kazakhstan. Here, I have divided them into two groups, and the groups must fill this assessment sheet, and here they should write group 1 or group 2, then their grade and the date. And at the beginning of my lesson, I mentioned the learning objectives, and here you see the learning objectives and the success criteria. According to these success criteria, they should write whether they achieved the success criteria or working towards. Then in the third column, the teacher must write her notes. And this is the second assessment sheet, that is self-assessment. So all the students must evaluate their own work. They should write their names, they should show their grade and the date. And as you see, as at the previous evaluation sheet, learning objectives are given here, then success criteria. According to four learning objectives, there are 4 success criteria, and they should write or they should choose whether they achieved or not. Then working towards, and the last column is about teacher's notes. Here you see the reference or the materials which I have used in this lesson. That is Integrated Program of Development for grade 7 from course plan. Then this is a site which will be helpful in taking a survey, and this is a site which will be helpful to work with grammar materials. I mean the third one and the fourth one. And the fifth one is taken from Listening Extra plus CD, that is about taking top 10 free time activities. Thank you for your attention.